You and I were talking earlier about kids and how they think about school, and even the kids that we serve, they miss school.
Of course.
And the reason why they miss school is because of that social interaction, the social and emotional wellness of being in a community, having a friend group to hang out with.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Den. I have a special guest that's near and dear to my heart. He's from the organization Beat the Streets, which is probably one of the best organizations out there helping young kids from the city or from the streets to better their lives. James Mangan, Executive Director. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man.
Well, thanks for being in. I do appreciate it. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. But, Beat the Streets has probably 100,000 million people in your organization now?
Yeah, it feels like that at some times.
How many?
Yeah, we've got a little over 1,100 student athletes in Philadelphia alone. Of course, Beat the Streets has national reach with the other city organizations in New York, LA, Chicago, and a few others to name a few.
How many kids total ballpark?
So if you look at Beat the Streets nationally, there's close to 10,000 kids right now actively participating in this type of programming. Each city is its own entity, so we try to focus our efforts on what's going on in Philadelphia with the 1,100 kids we serve.
Tell everybody about Beat the Streets, its mission, what you do, because I think you are obviously. I donate to you. I love what you guys do. I've been with you guys for years now. So tell everybody about your organization.
Yeah, of course. So, it's funny, man. I'm used to talking to people who are in the wrestling world, right? Okay. It's such a small world that a lot of the opportunities that I have to talk about our mission are with people who already understand wrestling. You clearly appreciate the sport as somebody who's wrestled before and have children that wrestle, but I think your audience maybe isn't as familiar with it. So
I promise you they're not.
Yeah. So I would say, I have to change how I communicate who we are in these types of settings. We're a sports-based youth development organization. Now we use the sport of wrestling as our hook to get kids engaged. We serve under-resourced communities, kids who are in at-risk neighborhoods. We support all of Philadelphia's public wrestling high school teams and every youth and middle school program that is a part of a club in Philadelphia. We're either directly serving or sponsoring. We pair that with academic mentoring for our high school students, and really that's where the magic happens. It's more than just wrestling. Wrestling and sport in general can teach kids so much about having good character, being good people. And when you compare that with something academically to keep them focused on their goals, there's some magic that can occur.
Let's talk about that, because I've been down to your Beat the Streets location. I've seen you at multiple wrestling tournaments. You are a big factor in my two nephews' lives with Pal. I mean, you've been around the sport. You believe in the sport. Why do you think wrestling, though, is such a great hook for kids and it transitions kids' lives? It makes them better people overall.
We're in Philadelphia, right? What's Philadelphia known for? Basketball. That's the winter sport. And, if you're 6'2", you're going to be good at basketball. Wrestling appeals to all different sizes, weights, right? You can be a little 96-pounder or a 285-pounder. You could be 4 foot tall or 6 foot tall. There's a place for you in the sport of wrestling. And, there's 14 starting positions at a high school level, at the youth level. There's countless positions. So I would say, just accessibility. If your school has wrestling, there's a spot for you on that team. And so I think that's one element of it. But kids in Philadelphia are born gritty. I mean, we're a gritty city.
For sure.
Grit is one of our core values. And so with the rise of MMA and how Philly was also this boxing town for a long time, boxing isn't as popular, MMA isn't available for school-age children. Well, what is? Wrestling. So you have kids who are naturally gritty, and you introduce them to the sport of wrestling. It gives them an opportunity to be physically active and get that energy out, and then they can concentrate on schoolwork or after-school activities and not have all that pent-up energy. So I would say that's probably one of the differentiators between the sport of wrestling versus other sports.
I also think the kids that you're helping, they need it. it's funny because I've always think back. I didn't understand what my brother Fred was doing at the time when he coached Edison. Didn't understand it, but I had a chance to reflect on those moments in my life of me just going down there. I just watched my brother coach for no other reason, and I got to know some of the kids that were on his team. But these were kids that never wrestled before. Some that were getting in trouble or would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
And they were at that age, that high school year. And I see my brother take a team of what you said, gritty people that never wrestled before, and go win. I think he actually won the city championship, or he made it to the city championship with Edison. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So
they won. They officially won at some point.
I didn't want to. I wasn't 100% sure because I know it was years ago. But I see on Facebook and Instagram these guys still talking about my brother and how he changed his lives. Melvin in particular, a few other kids that went on to have good lives. Where I'm not saying my brother was an all B point, but that extracurricular activity that you guys give at Beat the Streets of a safe haven of coming to learn, education, mentor, tutors, and you'll find them a wrestling mat and a place to go wrestle. I mean, right?
Yeah, you think about when Beat the Streets was founded, it was 2008. It was right after that housing crash. The school district's budget was slashed. There wasn't any out-of-school time programming offered to kids. We're in the 6th largest city in the country, and it's not a safe place to be. I grew up in Frankfurt, and I just drove by my middle school the other day. I was delivering meals to families out in the community as part of how we've transitioned the work that we do. But, it just reminds you of how dangerous some of these neighborhoods are. And the most dangerous times of the day are right after school, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Kids are being dismissed out into the street. They have nowhere to go. If you don't have out-of-school time programming to offer, they're going to get into trouble. The environment that they're in is going to encourage poor choices. So when your brother was a part of that program, it was back in 2008. Edison didn't have anything other than wrestling and I think maybe volleyball to offer to an entire high school. That was your option.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I did not know. I truly did not know that.
Yeah, and so Fred was a guy who didn't teach at that school. He was teaching at a neighborhood middle school or elementary school. So he was offered his time and energy to serve as a coach. And I think he knew what he was getting himself into, honestly. But he went all in. He didn't hold anything back, to the point where up early in the morning knocking on kids' doors to help them go get morning workouts. Or if they had a weekend competition, putting all that energy and making sure that he rallied all those kids together to go travel. Because he was really an accountability partner to so many kids over his time at being at Edison. And kids like Lender and Ricardo, who are part of that team, guess what? They're current coaches now at programs like Belmont. So Fred was really a pioneer in committing to Philadelphia wrestling, which didn't really have a culture 10 years ago. It wasn't a popular thing to do. Fred helped create that culture of wrestling, and it's paying back in that next generation, the kids he coached.
Kids staying in touch with the mentors right now? Are they calling them back? Has it gotten a little bit of a separation, or has it gotten closer?
You and I were talking earlier about kids and how they think about school, and even the kids that we serve, they miss school.
Of course.
And the reason why they miss school is because of that social interaction, the social and emotional wellness of being in a community, having a friend group to hang out with. So I don't think that's going to taper off, and in many ways we're replacing some of that missed time in the cafeteria by having one-on-one mentoring relationships with our kids, touching base with them each week. There's also group mentoring each week, so we'll do a Google Meet call where we have anywhere from 25 to 30 student athletes hanging out, watching wrestling videos. Small group has broken off with all of the social injustice that we're seeing, and they're working on a policy brief to present to city council on the reforms that they'd like to see in school. So no, our kids are finding ways to innovate and meet and connect and stay connected. I think this is needed more now than ever, and so we've had to innovate, we've had to adapt, and I think it's only going to grow. So we've strengthened our relationship with the University of Penn, Drexel University. That's where a lot of our mentors come from. The wrestling programs there, they're kids that are focused on SAT prep in a time when school's out, and we have mentors that can help our kids do that.
So let's talk about it. You brought something up that I didn't think we'd hit on this show. We just brought up social injustice. You guys are working on that down there in Beat the Streets, and I think people have to. It has to change somewhere, right? You know, I actually said to you, I believe most American people are good and they care about each other. We're in a divided time right now, and I actually said to you, and you started laughing, I said the media and the government is really our enemy, not each other, right? I mean, I said it to you because things are being thrown at each other, yelling at each other. Don't we just have an honest conversation? What are some of the things that you're seeing that your children, because these are children that are coming up with these reforms, what are they feeling like and what are they advocating for? Do you mind sharing some of them?
Yeah, no, look, I grew up in Philadelphia. I went to Philadelphia public schools. When I was a kid, we were on welfare. We needed aid. My father was a welder at the shipyard. The shipyard shut down. Like, we went through some economic hardship.
And there's a reason why I liked you, why we always got along.
Yeah, so, but that's 30 years ago, and I'm a little bit further removed from that now. But we have kids that are dealing with similar economic hardships, and when you couple on top of that, look, I truly believe I benefited from the color of my skin. I think opportunities were presented to me based simply on I was a male, I was white, and I was participating in a bunch of sports where people helped open doors for me. I came from really poor working class family in a pocket of the city that's economically depressed. But I can acknowledge that I think in many ways I benefited from some things that, the kids that I'm serving don't have that same luxury. And so just engaging in conversations with those student athletes about what they're dealing with and what they're trying to cope with. I think the biggest thing I've learned is, really Beat the Streets has the opportunity to be a voice to those student athletes, to amplify the voice. One, to listen, to learn, right, and to understand and to empathize and sympathize. Compassion is another one of our core values. And so approaching this with an element of compassion, people are truly feeling hurt. And you could debate
100%
the merits of that. What I can tell you is people are hurting right now.
Do you think school's going to open in September? And here's that caveat, should it open?
I truly believe in Philadelphia, when you think about what schools are for students, it's more than just a place to learn. It's a safe place to be. It's a place to interact with the kids. I think Philadelphia is going to find a way in some blended approach of virtual learning, split schedules. I think Philadelphia schools are going to open, and I think they're going to open in September. I think it's going to look starkly different from anything we've ever experienced before, and it's still uncertain what academic or athletics are going to look like in that environment. I'd be surprised if schools aren't open in September in some capacity.
I know I hated school, and I tell everyone that. I have no problem. I hated college, undergrad, grad. I hated high school, junior. I was not the kid that wanted to go to school. Looking back on it, I wanted to get on that bus every day just to go see my friends, Seth Dunn, Mike Wortman, whoever it may be. I just wanted to go see I hid it in the classroom at that time because I wasn't that smart of a guy, but lunch, recess, breakout groups, gym, it was like the time of my life looking back.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll plug a little bit about the impact of programming. So we've worked with the School District of Philadelphia and charter schools in the city since day one. And all of the administrators say that kids who are in the wrestling program, you see their rate of attendance skyrocket and their rate of disciplinary actions decrease. There's no doubt in my mind that, wrestling for a lot of kids is the social element that you kind of talk about, right?
Absolutely.
Those are your friends. You want to go hang out with your friends. And where do you go do that? School. So, it's definitely something that's going to, we always talk about how, administrators love us because the rates of attendance are through the roof when programming is active. That tells you something.
Hopefully we'll get back to that. Let's talk about your organization and what you're working on now, because you have a big organization, you have a staff, you have a lot of kids you're responsible for. What are you doing to move your business forward now? What are you working on?
Yeah, so I think just like you talked about, trying to really make sure, we're a nonprofit organization, but it's a business, right?
Absolutely.
It's a business not to make a profit, to invest in the community.
If you don't pay your bills, you don't have a nonprofit business anymore.
Yeah. So my job has really been about helping my team shape what programming looks like, helping my team succeed. We didn't lay off any staff. We're a small staff, and we're a rather flat organization. I've got 2 directors that work with me and a few part-time people to help support it, lead mentors, and we've retained 100% of our team. And we're using this time now to really do the heavy lifting of staying engaged. It's a lot of work to track a kid down when they're not in front of you, and then engage them with something that is motivating them to continue to stay engaged with us. So we put a lot of energy in that. But I'm also looking at, what does the organizational structure need to look like in order for us to thrive in the future? And so, I would encourage people to check out our website on some of the stories that we're putting out there right now of individual success stories, but really organizationally, how we're shaping, how we're redefining staff roles. And, it's a really exciting time in Philadelphia with the sport of wrestling when you look at the Olympic Regional Training Center and you look at the names that are coming on. I don't know if you've seen, but Mark Hall, Penn State, 2-time national champ. I don't know. He's really accomplished wrestler. He's coming. His resume, his accolades, I can't even keep up. But he's coming to be a resident athlete at the Pennsylvania Regional Training Center when other training centers and other colleges are cutting programs. We have high-level individuals that are coming to Philadelphia, and so how do we position our organization to align with individuals like Mark Hall to have an even greater impact, a collective impact on the work that we're doing?
So let's talk about the work that you're doing. And this is where I want to give you an opportunity, because I sponsor your program heavily. You're actually the biggest sponsorship that One SEO does every year, is your program. And I think there's no better cause, because as you know, me and my brothers had nothing. And a lot of wrestling coaches, a lot of the communities you said, gave us that support to change our lives. Helped me to get where I'm at, helped my brothers become teachers. So I'm a true believer in what you do, because I know it can shape the lives of so many. Tell everyone that owns a company right now why Beats the Streets should probably be one of their top choices in Philadelphia.
Yeah, before I do that, for the record, thank you, Lance. I mean, when you think about between One SEO and Shock IT and the businesses that you have, you've approached us in the past not for anything other than truly believing in the cause. And I appreciate that, real genuine interest in supporting our mission. And so we can't thank you enough for that.
No problem.
The 3 individuals that are currently receiving support for post-secondary through our partnership, they're excelling. We've got a kid at Temple who's entering his sophomore year, and he's involved in digital media. We have a kid at Bridgewater State up in Massachusetts that was a Division III national qualifier. He's the captain of his team. He was named the Athlete of the Year for his school. He's somebody that you're supporting. And then we have one of our lead mentors in Philadelphia who's going to be a senior at Drexel. He's able to go to Drexel and serve our organization in part because of the support that you give us. Not to mention, every year, the school shut down in March. Kids didn't have laptops. Every year for the past 3 years, One SEO has provided Chromebooks for our mentoring center. We were able to distribute Chromebooks to kids based on the inventory that we had through your support months before the school could round up laptops for these kids. So we had kids that didn't miss a beat because we had the opportunity to deliver those and hand those laptops out. So just a couple of reasons why I appreciate the work that you've done.
No problem.
And so I think you're an example as a business owner that understands that, look, you can have a direct impact on the lives of individuals in our program. Every dollar that gets donated to our program from individuals that are not a member of our board directly goes towards programming. We didn't lay off staff because our board is committed to maintain this organization, and other sponsors have committed to help us through this. But if you're a business owner out there right now who feels compelled to make a gift, to make a difference, Beat the Streets Philadelphia's website is waiting for you. my phone number's on there, my email's on there. I'd love to talk to you about how a gift from your company or a personal gift can help move our mission forward.
I'm going to do one better for you. I'm going to tell you why you should actually donate to Beat the Streets. See, not every kid has it the way your kid has it. If you own a business, you're going to have the luxury of giving them things these children will never see. Trust me, I was one of those children. What you do get to see from giving back to these kids, you're not going to meet half of them. That's just the fact of the matter. But you're going to get to meet a special few of them that do impact their lives. When you see it in their eyes, that you can see the difference, the change, that you actually helped them. And hopefully, you were the difference that took them from going to jail or getting into trouble into becoming a principal, a teacher, a firefighter, whatever it may be, a productive citizen in the world. They don't have to be the next millionaire out there. What they can be is just a good father, good example for other kids in the community, which I was fortunate, so was my two other brothers, that we had several of them when we moved out to Council Rock that jumped in, tried to help us, and they made sure our lives came out okay with my mom. So not everyone has that opportunity. You have the resources. Every donation counts, and there's no better program. Not because I tell everyone this. I wasn't a good wrestler. I actually sucked at wrestling. I was just gritty. But the people around that sport will help change our lives. Beat the Streets will help change these kids' lives, and I hope everyone pays attention and contacts you. And I truly believe that with all my heart.
I appreciate you saying that, Lance. Thank you.
If your kids are having a hard place to go find a place to get to camp, I own a club. Every camp I have, every week, you got 5 free kids that can come there for free at no charge. I don't care. Get them there. You'll have 5 free kids every week that can go there, no charge.
I appreciate the offer, Lance.
So,
yeah,
I don't know if you're allowed to endorse that, if you're allowed to bring them up, but you're welcome to get them there.
It's good to have at our disposal. We'll definitely talk about how to make that be an impact. So,
well, thanks for being on the Den. I appreciate everyone. Great man, great cause. Look him up. Beat the Streets, Philadelphia. You will change children's lives just like he is every day. Thank you so much.